in the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha. Until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from sufferings and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. Next page, praise to Sakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms' atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of gods, protector's heart, to tip of this fresh, pure white heat, curd like cloud, O loathsome Dhamma, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples. In space ahead, on lion throne, lotus and moon, venerable gurus smile brightly with delight. Pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit. Feel for my mind of faith, your wisdom mind sees full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, fame, glory, outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit, non-virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted 3 vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned mundane concerns, made life essence-full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharmakaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I've here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make Venerable Losangdrapa's essential teachings specially shine forever. Ligme sewe ter chen chen rezig, dreame kiempe wampo jom pelyang, dupu malu jon se son we dag, gan chen kepe sungen son karpa, ot sandra be shabla so adem. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remain steadfast. Homage to the exalted 3 jewels. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the 5 aggregates also. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage trained who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, which son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the 5 aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, and no mental phenomenon. There is no I element, and so forth up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom, and because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the spirit of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the holy supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the host of the three places Dakinis. Akasamara Sashadara Samaraya Pe. Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. Through the power of the truth of the exalted three-jewel speech, may all on the side of negativity, such as the four Maras, be stopped. May they become non-existent. May they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shante Kuri Soha. The 80,000 types of obstructors pacified, free from adverse, harmful conditions. May all be conducive in perfect auspiciousness. Bring happiness and well-being here right now. Saji Purgi Junshing Meitong Tramri Rabling Ji Ni De Gempadi Sangye Jingdu Mite Urwa Yidrokunamdag Jingla Chirpasho Jetsun Lama Dampakyenam Ki Chukala Kiense Tring Dwine Jitat Sampe Uche Jima Lajam Gechuki Chapawatuso Idam Guru Mandala Kam Nyatayami Sang Sangye Chudang Soke Chognam La Janchu Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chunyengi Pesonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Dropa Sho Sangye Chudang Soke Chognam La Janchu Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chunyengi Pesonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Dropa Sho Sangye Chodang Soke Chognam La Janchu Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Chunyengi Pesonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Dropa Sho.
So let's just start with a few minutes of quiet meditation. Meditating on the breath as it goes out and comes in through your nostrils. So just think and make a strong determination. I'm going to focus on my breath without allowing myself to become distracted by anything whatsoever. So with that strong determination, just keep your mind on your breath. So if it helps, you can count your breaths. And you see how many you can count before your mind goes somewhere else. Then as soon as you notice your mind's gone off your breath, distracted, just bring it straight back and start counting again. now, hopefully mind's a little bit clearer, so look into your mind and ask yourself the question, why did I come here today? So check your motivation for coming to the center this morning. Is it positive? Or negative? Negative motivation would be one where you're only thinking of gaining some benefit for this life alone, without any thought, benefit for yourself, without any thought of future lives or other sentient beings. So positive motivation could be coming here to learn the Dharma in order to avoid being reborn in the lower realms in the next life, or higher than that, motivation wanting to take yourself out of cyclic existence, off the wheel of life forever. The beginning was escaping from the beginning was samsara. Or higher than that, the highest motivation, wanting to achieve enlightenment in the state of a Buddha, for the sole purpose of enlightening all sentient beings, bringing all beings to that level. So that's the highest level of motivation, and the seed of enlightenment, the principal cause of enlightenment is bodhicitta, the determination to reach enlightenment in order to enlighten all sentient beings. So think, the purpose of my life is to lead all beings from suffering to enlightenment. In order to do that, I have to reach enlightenment myself. And in order to reach enlightenment, I have to realize bodhicitta, the principal cause of enlightenment. So therefore I'm here at the center this morning in order to study bodhicitta, to reach enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So it's best to generate that motivation before leaving home, and so the whole journey here is pervaded by that motivation. But at least we should do it now if we haven't done it yet. So that's the motivation this center was started with, and that's its purpose, to bring all beings to enlightenment. So if we can be in harmony with all that, it's perfect. So notice how everyone these days starts the sentence. Every sentence with so. What do you think about this? So, I don't know, not sure when it started. Or has it always been thus? Yeah. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Yes, the subject is bodhicitta, and as advertised, it's based on Lama Yeshe's last teaching that he gave at Kopan Monastery during the 1983 Kopan course. So those courses started in 1971. I think it's the 52nd one. It's about to start. I think Venerable Ravina's leading it. This one, no. I wasn't here. I was in London. But it was just about 3 or 4 months before Lama Yeshe passed away. And he came and gave this talk. We published this magazine, Wisdom Magazine. This was supposed to be the magazine of the FPMT, but only 2 issues were published, the previous one and this one. And then it sort of fizzled out, and then it re-emerged as Mandala, which is... So this... Most of what's in here is online now, but... so this was published as a tribute to Lama Yeshe. But it was a sad time because, His Holiness Song Rinpoche passed away before this came out, and Serkon Tensab Rinpoche passed, 2 of the great lamas to come out of Tibet. Song Rinpoche, Serkon Rinpoche, then Geshe Rapton passed away around shortly after, and Geshe Tenley, Lama Yeshe's brother, and Geshe Champa Wangdu, one of Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa Rinpoche's close friends, great meditator. Lama Zopa often talks about Geshe Genjampa Wangdu in his teachings. All 83, and of course, I didn't say Ling Rinpoche. Ling Rinpoche also passed away, I think on Christmas, 83. So he was one of the he was the senior tutor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So all these lamas, just within those 2 or 3 years, these great lamas passed away. Amazing. So this talk was Bodhicitta, the Perfection of Dharma. Anybody seen that? It's online. I think there's a link in Kurukulla description of this class in the calendar. And so I'm talking about this because Geshe Tenley's been teaching liberation in the palm of your hand for, I don't know, several years now, I think, on Sunday mornings, going in and out different texts, and reached the training your mind in the great scope, see on the left there. Let me just start by reading the beginning of this talk anyway. So Lama says, I think it is absolutely essential for us to have loving kindness towards others. There is no doubt about this. Loving kindness is the essence of bodhicitta, the attitude of the bodhisattva. It is the most comfortable path, the most comfortable meditation. There can be no philosophical, scientific or psychological disagreement with this. With bodhicitta, there's no east-west conflict. This path is the most comfortable, most perfect, 100% uncomplicated one, free of any danger of leading people to extremes. Without bodhicitta, nothing works. And most of all, your meditation doesn't work and realizations don't come. So scared of losing this screen. Why is bodhicitta necessary for success in meditation? Because of selfish grasping. If you have a good meditation but don't have bodhicitta, you will grasp at any little experience of bliss. Me, I want more, I want more. Then the good experience disappears completely. Grasping is the greatest distraction to experiencing single-pointed, intensive awareness in meditation. And with it, we are always dedicated to our own happiness. Me, I'm miserable. I want to be happy. Therefore, I'll meditate. Doesn't work that way. For some reason, good meditation and its results, peacefulness, satisfaction and bliss, just don't come. Also, without bodhicitta, it's very difficult to collect merit. You collect merit and immediately destroy it. By afternoon, in the morning, the merits have gone. It's like cleaning a room and an hour later making it dirty again. You make your mind clean, then right away you mess it up. Not a very profitable business. If you want a success in the business of collecting merits, you must have bodhicitta. With bodhicitta, you become so precious. Like gold, like diamonds, you become the most perfect object in the world, beyond compare with any material things. From the Western materialistic point of view, we'd think it was great if a rich person said, I want to make charity. I'm going to offer $100 to everybody in the entire world. Even if that person gave with great sincerity, his or her merit would be nothing compared with just the thought, I wish to actualize bodhicitta for the sake of sentient beings, and I'll practice the 6 perfections as much as I can. That's why I always say, actualization of bodhicitta is the most perfect path you can take. So, we hear, has anyone ever seen a miracle? Me either. Well, no, sorry, I speak too soon. Does anyone doubt there's Buddhahood, enlightenment, spiritual perfection, ultimate development of the mind? Developing an omniscient mind, seeing past, present, and future simultaneously. Ultimate and conventional existence together, just like you see the palm of your hand. See the mind of each and every sentient being since beginningless time through to endless time. Does anyone doubt such a state exists? No heretics? You doubt? Well, as Chandrakirti said, those who doubt powerfully have the potential to realize the truth as long as they investigate their doubts. Something like that. So is your doubt powerful? Or is it a bit wishy-washy? Yeah, someone asked Atisha what's the most important practice, and he said 3 words. He said one word 3 times. He said faith, faith, faith. So there are 3 kinds of faith. I can't remember what they are now, but there's kind of longing faith, and there's trusting faith, and I think there's faith based on logical understanding. So all are important, really, and until we've had certain experiences, it's true. You're not really sure if it exists or not. Doubt is maybe, maybe not. So we have to investigate our doubts. however, for the sake of my argument, I'm going to say there is such a state. And the miracle is that there's a roadmap that shows you how to get there. So as we know, can you read that? So on the left, so the pardon? Anyway, I'm not going to. I just want to summarise this. So I think we know that Buddhism started to come to Tibet around the year 650, and then it got a major shot in the arm 100 years later, 750, with the third Dharma king, King Trisong Detsen, who invited Sangha Rakshita, the great Indian abbot, to establish the monastic tradition in Tibet, and he invited Padmasambhava, the great tantric yogi, to come and dispel hindrances to the spread of Dharma in Tibet. And there's a phrase that there was a film made by a guy called Sheldon Rockland in the early 70s, when the Gyuto tantric monks who were in exile in India made the first tour of the West, I think, of monks from the tantric colleges. And this guy made a film. They went to London. I don't know where else. The film was mainly in London. And we used to show that film because it was one of the only Tibetan Buddhist films around in the early 70s. We used to show that when the Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche started to travel to the West. So we showed this movie, and then be a bit of answer some questions, and the Lama would give a talk. And there was a line there. He said, when he said, and Padmasambhava went to Tibet, exorcising demons. That's not like 5BX or anything. That's exorcising demons. The demons didn't need much exercise. And exercising demons and converting the people. So, little Christian, but nonetheless, that's what he did. So then Buddhism really took off, and then there came an anti-Dharma king, and so he tried to eliminate Buddhism from Tibet, and then he wasn't completely successful, and but the Dharma degenerated a lot in Tibet, so eventually they invited Atisha. Where is it? Atisha there with the red hat, somewhere there, to come to Tibet. They assassinated that king, and then they invited Atisha to come from India, who was a renowned scholar, especially a scholar of Bodhicitta. They invited him to come to Tibet to revive the pure Dharma. And one of the first things he did was write a text called A Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, in which which was the first Lam Rim, Stages of the Path text, where he arranged all the Buddha's 40 years of teachings. He crystallized them into this kind of path-like structure that we see here. So, so the commentaries on the Lam, then there started to become a lot of commentaries. Tsongkhapa wrote several, and then Pabonka Rinpoche gave this teaching in 1921 that became the book Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. And this outline is from Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. So the first main sections you can see there, the greatness of the author, so to show that the source of these teachings is immaculate. Then there's the greatness of the Dharma, given to increase one's respect for the teachings. Then there's how to teach and listen to the Dharma. So probably we all both need to study that. And then the fourth one is the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions. Right? So that's us. So then there's the root of the path, you see, coming from... So the fourth one is the main thing. The root of the path is devotion to the spiritual guide. So that has two sections. I mean, this sequence has that. So then there's all this teaching here, you see, on how to follow the guru. All this stuff. So the best teaching on guru devotion that I know is the Lama Zopa Rinpoche's book called The Heart of the Path. I think we have in the library or the bookstore. Wow. Wow. I can arrange it if... so that's, the root of the path. So that's really what the root means. Root's the most important part of the tree is a healthy root. So our path should have a healthy root with proper devotion to our teacher or teachers. Then the second part of that then is, see down there, the proper graduated training you should undertake after you've begun to rely on a spiritual guide. Okay? So that has two parts also. Then there's the stimulus to take the essence from your optimum human rebirth. So this is, after Guru Devotion, there's this extensive teaching on identifying the human rebirth, thinking about its benefits and how hard it is to acquire and so forth. So there's that teaching. There's also Lama Zopa Rinpoche's teachings, extensive teachings on that. Not in the bookstore, but it's in the library. So if you want to know how to develop a healthy root of the path, this is the book. Now I've already moved on to the next book, which is Lama Zopa Rinpoche's teachings on the perfect human rebirth. So that deals with this section here. And then comes what follows for the rest of this whole path is how to extract the essence. See that? How to extract the essence from your optimum human rebirth. So there are three sections there. You can see one. Can you see 1, 2, 3? Training your mind in the stages of the path shared with a small scope. So I talked about this last week. Training your mind in the stages of the path shared with a medium scope, and training the mind in the great scope stages of the path. So this is the miracle, that there is a state of spiritual perfection, and there's a step-by-step guide how to get there. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, is that a miracle or what? So now you've seen your first miracle. Or now you've recognized, even though you've seen it so many times. So, so I'm not going to talk about I'm going to talk about this one. So we talked about what it means, scope, and I said Lama Zopa calls them the training your mind in the path shared. The shared is important, for some people this is their only path. That's all they can think of, just not to be reborn in the lower realms, so freaked out. Fair enough. But that's not enough. And we talked about getting the best cell in prison. We want to get out of prison altogether, so that's when we train our mind in the stages of the path shared with the medium scope. So medium scope, that's how it's translated here, but Lama Zopa Rinpoche calls it the path of the lower capable being, which not standard English, lower capable being, but using capable as a noun, right? Was it an adjective? It's an adjective. Capability, capable, but it's anyway. It's not usually used to qualify. Well, you say he's a capable person, I suppose. Lower capable being. Least capable. Yeah, lower. Anyway, Rinpoche calls it lower capable being. So the being who has, there are 3 levels of practitioner, as I mentioned before, in terms of positive motivation. So the lower motivation, what they call the small scope, or the practitioner of least capability, all we can do is, which is still quite a lot, is to practice to avoid being reborn in the lower realms in the next life. Then the middle capable being, as Ribush calls it, the medium scope, is where we practice to attain liberation from cyclic existence. So here we develop the yearning for liberation, and then we ascertain the nature of the path leading to liberation. So then that's where we are. So this yellow section here, that shows the all the teachings we have to study and meditate on in order to just avoid being reborn in the lower realms. So then the middle capable being, the middle scope, is this one, where we this is the lower scope. So this is the teachings on refuge and karma, essentially. The green one. Then this pink one here is why is that not showing up? Anyway, so this is the middle scope. I don't know if this is who does the Kurukulla website. Nobody? Curtis? Okay. So I suggested we post this outline in the resources. There's one an expandable one that Wendy Khan put together for the outline of liberation. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's under resources on the Kurukulla website. So I suggested bring this here as well, this schematic, which makes it very clear, really. So this pink one over here is the middle scope, and then the great scope, which is what we really want to focus on here. Training your mind in the great scope stages of the path. So this has 3 sections, 3 main sections. The teaching that the development of bodhicitta is the sole gateway to the Mahayana, and teaching its benefits as well. So Geshe-la, I think, taught this. I don't know what he taught last week. What did he teach last week? Yeah, so here you see there are 10 benefits, right? So you probably remember what they are. Okay, well, can you read this? Teaching that the only way to enter the Mahayana is to develop bodhicitta. You gain the name the child of the victors. You outshine the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, the Hinayana saints. You become a supreme object of offering. You amass enormous accumulation of merit with these. That's what Lama Yeshe was saying. You rapidly purify sins, negative karma and obscurations. You accomplish whatever you wish. You're not bothered by harm or hindrances. You quickly complete all the stages of the path. So the reason these first two, the lower scope and the intermediate scope, said their paths travelled in common with practitioners of those paths is because we're just passing through. For some practitioners, those paths might be their actual practice, but for us, we're going to the top floor, so we have to pass through the first and second floor. You quickly complete all the stages of the path and you become a fertile source of every happiness for others. So those are the benefits, some of the benefits. So Geshe did that. Then the next section is the way to develop bodhicitta. And then the third one is, after developing bodhicitta, the way to train in the deeds of the children of the victorious ones, means the bodhisattvas. So the way to develop bodhicitta has these three sections. So the actual stages in training for bodhicitta. Then developing bodhicitta through the ritual of taking vows, taking bodhisattva vows. And then the activities to train in after developing bodhicitta. So the first of these, the actual stages for training in bodhicitta. There are two. There's training the mind by the means of sevenfold cause and effect instructions, and training the mind through the interchange, exchanging yourself for others. So you're familiar with the sevenfold cause and effect instructions? You are? What are they? Good. So you can see that how to train our mind with the sevenfold cause and effect. So there's 6 causes and 1 effect. But before we actually do those, we have to develop equanimity. So equanimity, so there's an equanimity or equilibrium meditation. Anybody familiar with that? Have we done that here? We have. So equalizing, essentially equalizing all sentient beings. At the moment we see others as friends, enemies and strangers. So friends are generally those who benefit us, enemies are those who harm us, ones we don't like, and then the vast majority of sentient beings we don't think they have any connection with us, so we just ignore them. So this helps us see that actually over the vast expanse of time, all beings have been our friend, all beings have been our enemy, and all beings have been our stranger. But so at least in terms of being the discrimination that we make of others is, we like, we don't like, or we don't care about, that discrimination is incorrect. So we should see all beings equally, and then focus on the positive. So focusing on the positive, seeing that all sentient beings have been our mother. Then, as Jen said, remembering their kindness. Can you read that? Repaying their kindness, meditating on the love that comes from the force of attraction. Then the 5th cause, great compassion. Then altruism, or the superior intention, and developing bodhicitta. So this altruism is a little simple. It's taking individual, personal responsibility to see that all sentient beings get enlightened. So that's one. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the actual stages in training for bodhicitta, training the mind by means of the sevenfold cause and effect instructions. Then there's training the mind through the interchange of self and others. So this has 7 sections also. Teaching the preliminaries upon which this Dharma depends, training yourself for the 2 types of bodhicitta. I'll come back to that. Converting unfortunate circumstances into the path, so transforming problems into happiness. Teaching a practice to be applied to your whole life. The criteria of having trained the mind, the 18 commitments of mind training practice, and 22 pieces of advice. So I think at this stage, liberation refers to Geshe Tenley's text on 7-point mind training, I think, doesn't it? Anyway, Geshe will come to all this in great detail, I'm sure. So the 2 types of bodhicitta, ultimate, which is really understanding emptiness in order to reach enlightenment, and then training the mind in relative bodhicitta. See those 2 there? This is training in the 2 types of bodhicitta. And then converting, the 3rd one, converting unfortunate circumstances into a path to enlightenment, converting circumstances through thought, and converting such conditions through action. So then going back to that, training the mind in relative bodhicitta, there are these 5 outlines on exchanging self for others, meditating on how self and others are equal, contemplating the many faults of self-cherishing. So like Lama was saying in this talk, if you are always thinking of my happiness, me, well, very hard to go beyond that. Contemplating the many good qualities resulting from cherishing others. Then the actual contemplation of exchanging self and others. So Shantideva talks a lot about this in Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And with these serving as the basis, the preceding ones, the way to meditate on giving and taking. You familiar with that? Tonglen meditation. Taking the suffering of others and giving them our happiness, merit. Then on this other one, converting circumstance through thought, there's also through analysis and through the view, correct view of emptiness. So that was the actual stages in training for bodhicitta. Then the next one is developing bodhicitta through the ritual of taking vows. How to acquire the vows you have not yet taken, and how to keep your vows from degenerating once you have acquired them. So who's taken the Bodhisattva vows? Lots of people, good. How to keep them from degenerating? Who's kept them from degenerating? Same number of hands? No hands. So Bodhisattva vows are given as part of many initiations. Or they're given just in a ceremony by themselves. Yeah, mostly we get them through initiation. So that way they're not kind of emphasized or explained very much. If you take them in a Bodhisattva vow ceremony, Lama Yeshe often used to do that just as a separate thing. After the Kopan course, they would offer refuge, so a bunch of people take refuge, and then Lama Yeshe would give Bodhisattva vows. So that was often was always accompanied by an explanation and a teaching. So those, we should really put all those together at some point, along with everything else. So anyway, again, Geshe, I will get to this eventually. Then how to keep the vows from degenerating once you've acquired them. So advice related to the aspiration form of bodhicitta and the advice related to the involvement form of bodhicitta. So everybody's familiar with aspirational and actualized bodhicitta? With what? I don't know, let's see. Yeah. RFM. So aspirational bodhicitta is, is having the wish to attain bodhicitta, but not quite wanting to jump in yet. Where so the the involvement form is actually taking the bodhisattva is taking the vows and then trying to follow them, keep them. So the advice related to the aspiration form is advice on creating the cause for keeping the bodhicitta you have developed from degenerating in this life. So as much as we've developed, so we have to recall the benefits of bodhicitta, retaking the vows 3 times each day and 3 times each night, so that you do not lose bodhicitta you have developed and increase it as well. So when we do Guru Puja here twice a month, there's a part where we take the bodhisattva vows and the tantric vows. So those, as Wendy says when she's leading it, those who've taken the vows recite that prayer. Those who haven't taken the vows don't need to recite the prayer, but they can aspire to develop to the stage where they take the vows and then they can recite the prayer. So recalling the benefits, retaking the vows 3 times each day and night. If you do the 6-session Guru Yoga, which is a requirement for certain tantric initiations, then 6-session yoga covers that. In preventing the development of bad thoughts, such as feeling when someone wrongs you, I shall not work for his or her or its sake. So that's important especially in today's political climate. Whichever side you're on, and there are mainly 2 sides, development of bad thoughts is quite a challenge. Can be. building your accumulations of merit in order to increase the bodhicitta you've already developed. So that's the advice on creating the cause for keeping bodhicitta you've developed from degenerating in this life. The advice on creating the cause is never to be separated from bodhicitta in your remaining rebirths. There are 4 actions producing black, negative karmic results to be abandoned. And 4 actions producing white karmic results. Now this is, again, bordering on touchy terminology. In that, traditionally, negative karma is considered sort of black karma and positive karma is considered white. That's just how it is. So the 4 actions producing negative karma, which are to be abandoned over here. You see, follow this line over here. Can you see the cursor? Does it? Trying to dupe your guru, abbot, ordination master, etc. with lies. Not a good thing. Feeling distress when others do something virtuous. Like, to dig into your own experience. It's jealousy when good things happen to others, or others do good things, positive things. Saying unpleasant things to bodhisattvas out of hostility. Of course, the thing is we never know who's a bodhisattva and who's not, so the practice really is to not say unpleasant things to anybody. But if you say unpleasant things and the person happens to be a bodhisattva, that's quite a heavy negative karma. And acting deceitfully without any altruism. So like pretending to be a good practitioner when you're not, just so others will think you're good or give you money or something. So then there are these 4 actions producing positive karmic results that we should cultivate. Vigilantly abandoning deliberate lies. Keeping honest intention towards sentient beings and not deceiving them. Developing the attitude that bodhisattvas are teachers and giving them due praise. And causing sentient beings who are maturing under your care to uphold bodhicitta. Well, what happened there? Sorry. I think that's the end of that section. So the way to develop bodhicitta. So that was the second one, developing bodhicitta through the ritual of taking vows. Then the third one is the activities to train enough to develop bodhicitta. There aren't any. You can just relax, watch TV. After developing bodhicitta, okay, so what are we on here? This is training our mind in the great scope stages of the path. So there was teaching the bodhicitta as a soul gateway, the way to develop bodhicitta, and then after developing bodhicitta, the way to train in the deeds of the bodhisattvas. Children of the victorious ones, Geshe. So that has 2 sections: how to train in the 6 perfections, and how to train in the 4 ways of gathering disciples in order to ripen the mind stream of others. So Wisdom Publications have recently published some of Lama Zopa's teachings on Bodhicitta, and the title of that book is Bodhicitta. We have that in the bookstore, I think. Yes? And coming soon is Rinpoche's book on the 6 perfections. How to train in the 6 perfections in order to ripen your own mind stream. So we have to wait for that book. But that has how to train in the 6 perfections in order to ripen your own mind stream. And then there's how to train in the 4 ways of gathering disciples in order to ripen the mind streams of others. So this first one has 3 sections. How to train in the 6 perfections in order to ripen your own mind stream. Can you see that? The general way to train in the deeds of the children of the victors, bodhisattvas. Generosity. So we know there are 3 kinds of generosity or charity or giving. Being generous is material charity, Dharma charity, and charity, generosity of giving, fearlessness. So we've talked about that a number of times. We have here. Then there's the practice of the perfection of ethics. So these are the 6 perfections, charity, morality, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. So the second one, practice of the perfection of ethics, also has 3. The ethic of refraining from misdeeds, the ethic of gathering virtuous Dharma, creating merit, and the ethic of working for the sake of sentient beings. Then there's patience, the 3rd perfection. Again, 3 kinds. The patience of remaining calm in the face of your attackers, it's not retaliating. The patience of accepting suffering, so just bearing hardship in order to practice Dharma. And the patience to gain assurance in the Dharma. So, experience doesn't come right away. We have to be patient and have faith that eventually we'll be enlightened. Perseverance is the 4th one, right? So follow that over here. So there are 3 kinds of laziness. It's the laziness of sloth and torpor sometimes. The laziness of craving evil pursuits, that's otherwise known as having fun. We're very active in having fun, but actually it's a kind of laziness. Wow. And then there's the laziness of defeatism, sometimes called the laziness of delusions of incapability. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. Next life. Next week. Next year. Any sentient being can become enlightened. Just has to follow the path. To follow the path, you have to meet the path. So that itself is quite difficult. That's what the very first teaching on the perfect human rebirth talks about. Okay, so we're talking about perseverance, the 4th perfection. 3 kinds of laziness that we need to avoid. Then we have to have armour-like perseverance. So I think that's clear. Just whatever hindrances arise, just let they bounce off, We persevere in our practice. the perseverance to collect merit, and again the perseverance of working for the sake of sentient beings. Pardon? Armour-like. Armour, like as in putting on armour. Like a suit of armour. Just whatever assails you just bounces off, mentally, physically. So that was the general way to train in the Bodhisattva's practices, the first 4 perfections. The last 2, concentration and wisdom, are broken out separately. In particular, the way to train in the last 2 perfections. So, obviously, there'll be two sections there. How to train in the very essence of concentration, mental quiescence, and how to train in the very essence of wisdom, special insight. So there are these are the 5th and 6th perfection. So training in essence of concentration, we've talked about this before too. Cultivating the prerequisites for mental quiescence. So what's the main prerequisite? The brains is gone. What? Morality. So if we don't have pure moral conduct, it's impossible to develop single-pointed concentration, basically. So that's why we have the first level of vows, the individual vows of individual liberation. Then there's the actual way to achieve mental quiescence, taking this as the basis, how to achieve the 9 mental states, the way to achieve the mental states through the 6 powers, how there are 4 types of mental process, and the way true mental quiescence develops from this point. So, looking at some of those in detail, cultivating the prerequisites, dwelling in a conducive place. So, if we're serious in trying to develop our powers of concentration, we need to, if we can, we need to find an ideal place. An ideal place is where it's very quiet, there are a few people, the air is clean, the water is clean, and ideally it's a place where centuries of meditators have practiced and attained realizations. So maybe not a lot of places in this country that fulfill those criteria. In terms of, long history of practitioners, but in Tibet, obviously, there are loads of places like that, and also in Nepal and India. There still are. So, so that's one thing, and where we have the support of someone, a supportive helper who can do shopping and help us, not necessarily cook for us, but that's also good. But now there are meditation centres that cater to the needs of serious practitioners. Our organisation, we have one place called the Land of Calm Abiding in California. I think it's not far from the Hearst Castle, Xanadu. Is it? There's Milarepa Center, yep, up in Vermont, where people have done 3-4 year retreats, Roger and Paula. Anyway, conducive place. Having few wants, that's a hard one. Being content, same thing, hard one. Having pure ethics, hard one. Abandoning the demands of society, I love that one. And then completely abandoning conceptual thoughts such as desire. Good luck with that. Nevertheless, we know what we have to do. That's what a roadmap is. It shows you where to go.
Can you just expand a little bit on the complete abandoning of conceptual thoughts? Because you hear meditation is not thinking, and that's ridiculous. And Buddhist teachers are arguing this in a different way. So how do you read this notion of abandoning conceptual thought?
Well, just in terms of, generally we talk about two kinds of meditation. Analytical meditation and concentrative meditation. And they kind of work together hand in hand. I think it was a Sakya Pandita, one of the great Tibetan early great Tibetan teachers, who said, the person who meditates without first studying is like an armless rock climber. So you see these guys scaling El Capitan or Yosemite. I mean, it's like insane, if you ask me. They climb up these things. Now imagine trying to do that without arms. So that's what meditating without first studying is likened to. So so in order, I think, also to have successful meditation, you have to be convinced about its benefits and why you're doing it and what you want to get out of it. So unless you've had teachings and studied and really thought about it and meditated on the benefits of developing single point of concentration, when you encounter obstacles, which is inevitable, if you don't have that strong conviction rooted in an intellectual understanding, it's going to be hard to not give in to them, Think, okay, this is too hard. I can't do it. Lazy. So it says completely abandoning conceptual thoughts such as desire. So the implication, such as desire, means negative thoughts. As Deborah said, if we have, if we're not practicing pure morality, there's thoughts, cravings, bad habits, desires, attachments will just keep cropping up. We'll be missing this, we'll be missing that. So it'll be very hard to keep our minds still. So it starts with taking precepts and keeping them purely, and then on that basis engaging in meditation. In meditation, when we're trying to develop concentration, if the thought comes up, I'm doing this in order to reach enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings, that's a distraction. We should motivate that at the beginning and then coast on that without thinking about it again. So during, as we did at the beginning, I don't know how your experience was, of trying to concentrate on the breath. But even that, kind of the most simple of meditations, is very hard. I mean, I find hard, because I don't practice enough. But so we have all these thoughts. The main distraction, maybe there's some noise, maybe someone's doing this or that, or but the main distraction is internal. And I mean, each of us has our own experience of what kind of thoughts come up when we're trying to meditate. So any discursive thought when we're trying to develop concentration is a distraction, whether it's positive or negative. So how we do it is on the basis of pure morality, so give ourselves a fighting chance. Then we just have to practice concentrating our mind. Like if you go to the gym and you haven't been ever or for years or something, you're not going to start by picking up a 100-pound weight. You're going to start with maybe 5, and then gradually build up. So so if we go on to the next section, yeah.
Question. When it says abandoning the demands of society, it doesn't really suggest abandoning interaction with society, right? Again, part of it is not about trying to help to others achieve their desire. What if their desires are within a society? Is that such a framework?
Well, it's you can't do everything at once. So if you want to benefit others by healing illness, you have to go to medical school. I mean, it's like, I don't know what it is, over 8 years or something. You have to do 4 years, what do you call it, undergraduate, and then you do 4 years in medical school, then you have to go and work in hospital. I mean, it's a while before you can actually really benefit others after you've qualified, although you can be of some help on the way. So abandoning society, you can if you want to help others, you've got to help yourself first. If your mind's out of control, it's a little hard to really be of that much benefit to others. So I think abandoning the demands of society, you tell your parents, I'm going off to the mountains to meditate. Oh, you what? You crazy? I mean, that's family demands. You need to get beyond that. And there's, especially in, I think this society is a little freer, but from others, with, arranged marriages, and I mean, the society has a kind of a prescription for everybody, right? Especially in totalitarian countries, like demands or expectations. I think you have to go beyond them and do what you think is right. I'm not explaining it very well. What do you think, Deborah?
Well, it's just that again, because what Zopa is here to try to help others achieve enlightenment ultimately, but also by giving them what they need, seems to be that from within society.
Well, yeah, here it's talking about still preparing yourself. The best way to help society is to become a Buddha, and I mean, the main problem society has when you get down to the very root is ignorance, is not understanding reality. not understanding ultimate reality, of course, and not even understanding relative, conventional reality, karma, cause and effect. That this action brings happiness and this action brings suffering. So, if you really want to help society, the best way is to get enlightened. You're not going to get enlightened by staying at home, going to your job every day, and or having a family and raising children. It's just I mean, you can see it's like a big project to reach enlightenment, and obligations of your family, of the country, of the town, of your relatives, of the prevailing ethic. They're all distractions and hindrances. So you have to be strong enough to abandon all that, and devote yourself to the practice. And while you're devoting yourself to the practice, purifying your mind, developing your concentration, understanding reality, getting closer and closer to enlightenment, developing bodhicitta, all that personal practice is ultimately benefiting society. First of all, you're not in there sort of messing it up with everybody else. And secondly, you're bringing yourself up to a level where you actually can go back and help others, either in this life or in future lives. But if you don't get yourself together, you're not really going to be able to help others get themselves together, which is kind of the point. Deb?
Well, you see, that to me, this very particular point of your practice, where you're going off in isolation, develop single point of concentration. It's not like the whole practice, being like, so you're trying to isolate yourself from everything, so you can develop that single point of concentration, which is what takes many months of focus to do. And then when that's done,
If you're lucky.
you go back and you go to daily life. So it's not saying always you do this, but just doing this.
Yeah, it's part of your training.
Yeah, part of that particular kind of training that has a start at the beginning.
If your motivation to do it is just to benefit yourself, then it doesn't have much power, and it may not even finish up benefiting yourself that much. If your motivation is, I have to develop my mind and especially my powers of concentration so that I can be of more benefit to others, then while you're training, you are benefiting others. I don't know, what do you think? Good enough? All right.
Isn't it also possible to live a lay person's life and from enlightenment? I mean, it might take one no, well, this is from a different tradition, but one of the monks, the Bengali teacher, who was really rather revolutionary because she went on, well, she meditated against Indra, and it wasn't very common in
Mhm.
doing that, but apparently she also had actually a very strong practice. So she supposedly could, practice this so serious she could get off.
Yeah, but someone like that doesn't just come out of the blue. What she done in many previous lives, training the mind, like Askol was saying, maybe she did train her mind in previous lives in isolation, all that, and now she's able to live in society, not be stained by it, not be, what do they say? She's in it but not of it. And like the example of the lotus growing out of mud, but the lotus is beautiful, pure white flower, but where it comes out of is mud. So that's like the bodhisattva in society, in it but not of it. So there are examples like that, but you have to think, where did they come from? How did she get like that? You know, and that may be a lot of similar kind of training. You know, even. I mean, who knows what tradition the man could have been. I don't know. So number 3, taking this as a basis, how to achieve the 9 mental states. No, hang on. No, sorry, the previous one, number 2. The actual way to achieve mental quiescence, you see that? Follow that across. So there are 5 pitfalls. Laziness, forgetting the instruction, excitement and dullness, non-adjustment, readjustment. So laziness, just not putting in enough effort, forgetting the instruction. So when we're meditating on the breath, you know, after 2 or 3 breaths, we forget our mind is supposed to be here, it goes somewhere else. So then eventually we think, oh God, we bring it back, you know. Another 2 or 3 breaths, then it's gone again, you know. So it's because we forget what the object of concentration is. Excitement and dullness. So excitement is these discursive thoughts just keep coming in, so we just have to practice, you know, focused on the breath. So we can be aware of the distractions, but it's like being in a room in a thunderstorm where the rain is hitting the windows and you're not getting wet because you're inside. So it's a bit like that. Your mind is concentrated and these arrows of distraction are trying to get in, but there's somehow your wall of concentration is enough to keep them out. Excitement and dullness is sometimes then our mind will settle into a focus on the breath, but we're not sharp, we're not really aware that that's what it is. It's just it can be focused on the breath. There's not a lot of discursive thought, but it's actually almost tending towards sleep. This is what we mean by dullness. Lama Yeshe called it sluggishness. Sluggish. In non-adjustment there are antidotes to these scattering and dullness, but we don't apply them. And then the 5th one is applying the antidotes when we don't need to. We think our mind is falling into dullness, so we'll do the brightening antidote, but we don't really need to. So those are some of the pitfalls in achieving mental quiescence, number 2 there. Number 3, taking this as the basis, the prerequisites in the actual way, you know, these avoiding these pitfalls. Taking this as the basis, how to achieve the 9 mental states. So we're all familiar with the Shine chart? With the elephant and the monkey, and anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. If I had more confidence in this computer, I'd bring it up. But is there a diagram in that book? In Liberation? Is there? Hmm? I think it may not be. There may not be in the book. getting there. Okay. So I don't know how well you can see this. There's this. You see that? It's we set up this website called teachingsfromtibet.com, which is an adjunct to lamayeshe.com website. So we took out teachings that basically weren't by Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, or His Holiness, or the Buddha, teaching basically by other lamas, and we made another website. And there's a teaching on concentration by Geshe Rapton. So, you know, it starts off here with the monk chasing the elephant and the monkey. So the monkey is distraction and the elephant is kind of sluggishness. And anyway, there's an explanation of these fires and all these things. But so it depicts pictorially what this says here. One, fixing the mind, fixing with some continuity, patchy fixation, good fixation, becoming disciplined, becoming peaceful, becoming very pacified, becoming single-pointed, and fixed absorption. So these 9 points are depicted here with the monkey and the elephant and the monk, and it finishes up with the monk flying in the air, experiencing what Lama Zopa calls rapturous ecstasy, which sounds pretty good to me. Rapturous ecstasy. My God. Not just rapture, not just ecstasy. So that's, see, taking this as a basis, how to achieve the 9 mental states. What I'd like to achieve is my cursor. There it is. Okay, so this is an outline. All these topics pretty much are explained in the book, you know, in greater or lesser depth.
Can we find this on the website?
What?
FPMT?
What?
This outline, this diagram you're showing us right now.
It's on the FPMT store, has it as a free download, as a PDF, I think. Or you'll find it at lamayeshe.com. Yeah, I don't know, I forget what it's called. Lamrim schema. Schema. Okay, English. I mean, it's put together by an Italian guy called Piero Siriani. If you look at lamayeshe.com, we haven't had time to link it to every Lamrim teaching on the website, which is quite a lot. But if you go to Teachings from Tibet at lamayeshe.com, you'll find it there on the related links side. We can have a look in a minute. Fixing the mind. Okay, so we're looking at this, how to train in the last 2 perfections, especially the one in concentration at the moment. Cultivating prerequisites for mental quiescence, we did that, the actual way, taking this as the base, how to achieve 9 mental states. So then the way to achieve the mental states through the 6 powers, how there are 4 types of mental process, the way true mental quiescence develops from this point. So that's that. So then the final perfection, how to train in the very essence of wisdom, special insight. So there are three main sections there. Ascertaining the non-existence of a personal self, ascertaining the non-existence of a self of phenomena, and then the way you develop special insight. So when we combine these last two perfections, why we want to develop single-pointed concentration is so that we can have a direct perception of ultimate reality, unmediated by words or concepts, the direct experience. So in order to cut through what Lama Yeshe called the heavy blanket of ignorance, we need a very sharp knife, and the sharp knife is the perfect concentration. So ascertaining the non-existence of a personal self, how to develop the absorption resembling space. We're not in absorption, how to pursue the attitude that things are like an illusion. So now there are two verses in the Lam Rim section of Guru Puja we do a couple of times a month, right? There's the space-like voidness and the illusion-like voidness talks about. So that's what this is talking about here. How to develop the absorption resembling space, like empty space. And when not in absorption, how to pursue the attitude that things are like an illusion. So then there's these four key points. What is to be refuted, the wrong conception of self-existence, determining the full set of possibilities, determining that things are not truly the same, determining that things are not truly different. So the second one here, over here, ascertaining the non-existence of a self of phenomena, ascertaining that conditioned phenomena do not naturally exist, and ascertaining that unconditioned phenomena do not naturally exist. And the first one, ascertaining that conditioned phenomena do not naturally exist, has three sections. Ascertaining that physical things do not naturally exist, ascertaining that consciousness does not naturally exist, ascertaining that non-associated compositional factors, demenduce, do not exist by nature. So things that aren't material and aren't mental, I think there are 20 or 22 of those. Things like time, personality. I can't remember the others. Anyone have Jeffrey Hopkins' book, Meditation on Emptiness? As an incredible resource for stuff like this, Meditation on emptiness, kind of essential. Okay, so that's that. So that's the way we develop. Then there's the way we develop special insight. So after all that, then we come to the final little section here. How to train in the uncommon part of the path, the Vajrayana. So that's the subject of another book. So there it is, a roadmap to enlightenment. A miracle in our time.
Can you define Vajrayana?
In the Mahayana, so all the Buddha's teachings are divided into two main sections. The Hinayana, lesser vehicle, and Mahayana, the greater vehicle. So the Mahayana is divided into two. The Sutrayana or Paramitayana, path of the perfections, and the Vajrayana, the diamond-like vehicle, the lightning vehicle. So in order to reach enlightenment, we have to develop bodhicitta and practice the 6 perfections, so on. So if we just rely on that part of the Mahayana called the perfection of the Paramitayana, the perfection vehicle, or the Sutrayana, which are based on the sutras of the Buddha's teachings in the Kangyo are sutras and tantras. So in the sutras, this is just what we've been going through, developing bodhicitta, practicing 6 perfections. If we make that our practice, it takes a long, long time, 3 countless great eons, to attain enlightenment. Enormous, incredible amount of time, life after life, practicing one perfection, perfecting that, the next one, and so on and so forth. And you know, if you read the Jataka tales, the Buddha's previous lives, stories of the Buddha's previous lives, you see how as a bodhisattva the Buddha did all these different things before he became the enlightened Buddha. Things he did as a bodhisattva. So give us an idea of the sort of life you lead one after the other over this vast expanse of time in order to reach enlightenment, to lead sentient beings out of suffering. For some people that's too long. You know, my mother is burning in a pit of fire, and I'm going to take millions of lifetimes to get her out. Not good enough. Come on, give me something I can do faster. So for people who have great, unbearable compassion and also, sharp minds and incredible powers of concentration, perseverance, energy, the Buddha taught Vajrayana teachings. So it's likened to, if there's a very high mountain, you can take the path that gradually circles around, or you can climb up the cliff face, get to the top more quickly. This is a much more dangerous path. If you slip and fall, there's much more danger than if you slip and fall where you're just going on this road around, gradually winds up the mountain. But if you have the skill to follow and you have arms, you can get to the top much more quickly. So the slower path, the Paramitayana path, is also called the causal vehicle, where you practice the cause to get the result in future. So you practice generosity to get the result, perfection of generosity. You practice moral conduct, patience, effort, concentrate, all these 6 perfections. There are 4 more as well. You practice these in order to attain the result in the future. The Vajrayana, the tantric vehicle, is called the resultant vehicle, where you actually take the future result, enlightenment, and that taking the result as the path. So you take the result of being enlightened. You imagine you're enlightened now, and practice in that way. So that's why we have these different meditational deities like Manjushri or Tara or Avalokiteshvara, which represent various aspects of the enlightened mind. And in order to practice Tantra, first of all, the main prerequisite is a very, at least, if not experience, a clear intellectual understanding of the entire Lam Rim, the path to enlightenment. All these 3 scopes and everything we've been talking about. Clear intellectual understanding. On the basis of that, then we get initiation from a qualified teacher. Initiation is like, it initiates us into the practice. It transmits, it imparts the oral transmission of those teachings that have come from the Buddha through an unbroken lineage. And so we receive initiation and vows, the Bodhisattva and Tantric vows that come with initiation, and then we receive the commentaries on how to practice. And generally we we do it through meditational deities, which are different aspects of the enlightened mind. So you visualize yourself as the deity. In order to do that, you have to have the empowerment or the initiation. And then you practice what's called sadhana, or a method of accomplishment. So, if you take an initiation into Chenrezig, Buddha of Compassion, then there'll be a sadhana that you practice. And it often has the 7 limbs, and then it has the visualization. You transform yourself, and then you recite the mantra. And there's all these different practices. So that's a description. It's not a definition. I'm not quite sure what the definition is, but it's a result in. It's taking the result as the path. You bring your future enlightenment into the present, and you try to develop a pure view where you see all sentient beings as also enlightened, and you see your environment as the mandala, and all sounds you hear as the mantra of the deity. Kind of weird stuff. Maybe that's a good definition. Weird stuff. But extremely rare. It says in this eon, they call the fortunate eon, when 1,000 Buddhas descend to teach. So Shakyamuni Buddha is the 4th of 1,000. Maitreya, the next one will be the 5th of this current cycle of 1,000 Buddhas. Only 3 out of 1,000 teach Tantra. So the first one taught Tantra. Kanaka, I forget the Buddha's name. Kanakamuni? Forget. The 4th one, Shakyamuni Buddha, and then the last one. Not because the others don't know Tantra, but just because the karma of sentient beings at that time isn't suitable. So it looks like our karma is such that we are we have the potential to receive tantric teachings because we're born in the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, who gives these teachings. But how we're born at a time when these teachings exist. But to have an interest in them and to put them into practice and to practice them properly, that's another story. Okay, well, sorry, that's over time. That's it. Anyway, I just thought it was useful to run through this. Geshe-la is going to be teaching this going forward, although he's going to India for a while. So the lunatics will be back. But over the coming year or so, I'm sure Geshe-la will explain all this in much more detail. Or you can read it in the book. Okay, thank you very much. Proper practice starts with good proper motivation. We did that, Bodhicitta. We looked at the outline, especially the outline on the Bodhicitta path of the Lamrim. So, right motivation, right action, right dedication. We hand over to our right dedicator.
Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious Supreme Bodhi Mind, peace forevermore. Page 75. Nik me tse wei ter chen chen rezi dri